everyone. We know that you're all tired, so we'll make it quick and sharp and have also your insight. In a nutshell, I'm Pascal Galli. In the day, I'm a strategic advisor to government and investors in Africa. And in the evening, I'm what you call a complaints investigator, which means whatever you are a fraudster or a corrupter, you're in trouble because I'm investigating. But that's not the very sexy part. And on the other side, I funded Choc de Dijon, which is an event that gathers head of state, ministers, ambassadors in the form of a mock trial. We did the Trial of the Earth a few months ago in Benin, so that we gather very senior stakeholders to reflect on how we can make business together. Very happy to be today with the ambassador of Kenya in Switzerland and Liechtenstein. I will let herself introduce, and then we'll kick in with very practical insight and example, and also, of course, to respond to all your questions.
Thank you, Pascal. We can sit because we're not both very tall, so we thought probably we may not see us. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Doris. Thank you, Mafrida, for this, and it was an absolutely interesting panel to listen to. So my name is Fawzia Abbas. I'm the ambassador with CSA as of March 2024. So it's almost 2 years that I've been in Switzerland. Louder? Okay. So is that okay? So this is actually my first position as a student ambassador. I worked with the United Nations for over 20 years in so many parts of Africa, Europe, and North America. And I got burnt out, quit, took a break, and then got this position. So here we are today. So we'll also ask to engage with you so that you do not get very uneasy, because I know it's the end of the day, but so I'll hand over to Pascal. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. So, Madam Ambassador, the Ambassador of Kenya, what about initiative would you say that Kenya has implemented that make echo to all the fruitful discussion we have had today?
Thank you. So I think I forgot to say my name. So my name is Fawzia Abbas. But nevertheless, so we as government are really looking at one, investments into our countries. Two, our youth, making sure that our youth are fully occupied. You see what mayhem they create and what they can create and what good stuff they can do, as well as our diaspora that form over 1 million people. Just last year, as of November, we had $5 billion $5 billion that was sent in by the diaspora into the country. This was more than any other business that comes into our country, including tourism. So our vision is to ensure that what we say in government, we're the next Singapore. I know we've heard a lot of things today here and how best we can work together. I think as one African continental free trade area, where we have 55 countries, over 1.5 billion people, over $3 trillion GDP combined, there's a lot that we can do for Africa. We are no longer asking for a seat at the table. Not anymore. The days are gone. I think we all have to appreciate that. The world has realized that we need to have Africa there in order to make decisions. It's globalized. We are all interconnected. As we are all fully aware, we have the rare earth, uranium in Niger, Congo, cobalt. I can't start naming all of them, but you're fully aware what it is. So I hope I'm not getting out of hand with what you asked.
Thank you, Excellency. So I would like to ask everyone here, when I came and I see the crowd, I was very happy because I'm discussing with people from South Africa, from Nigeria, from Congo, from Cameroon, which means we have dozens of countries which are gathering together to discuss and to scale up, both from Africa and from Europe. But if I ask you, what is the trade, I would say the revenue trade of Africa at global level? Is it 3%, 10%, or 20%?
Anybody? Just looking for a one.
3, 5, or 20? 3?
Yes.
It's 3. So we are 1 billion continent with 54 countries, having all the natural resources of the world, but still we only have 3% of the trade value at global market. And we discuss a lot about risk. And every time we speak about Africa, okay, there is corruption. And I want to challenge each of you of this perception of corruption. If you look at Transparency International, they have like it's one of the best standards worldwide. They have a list of the perceived most corrupt countries and the ones who are not perceived as corrupt. Of course, Switzerland is, I think, the country that is the less perceived in the world, or among them, as corrupted. And many African countries are seen as corrupt. Because they see corruption on where it happens, the country where the corruption occurs. But if you go in the details, as a financial investigator or compliance, you will see that in every corruption scheme, there is a foreign company, most of the time Europe, or in Switzerland, but no one talks, and that's very important. And I mean, it's quite public, the Glencore, Trafigura, all those big companies that are actually coming into African countries and corrupting the people. But then at the end of the day, they will tell, okay, it's the African countries that are corrupt, but they don't take into account the country where those companies are coming from. So if you put that into the balance, Switzerland will clearly not be perceived as the less corrupt country, and African countries will be challenged as well on this side. So this is something that we really need to take into account when we talk about perception and risk in Africa. Because I would say us, maybe the diaspora, we are more reluctant to go and to invest in Africa sometime than other countries are. Everybody say it's risky to go in Africa, but the whole world is in Africa. Middle East, Asia, even Europe, they are going and investing a lot amount of money there. But we're still asking ourselves, oh, it's too risky. So if it's not risky for them, why should it be risky for us? So what can you, there is a very fruitful initiative of the government of Kenya, which will set up a sovereign fund for Kenya. Can you tell us a bit more about it?
Okay, thank you very much. So when we realized how much money the diaspora was bringing into the country, and a lot of this money goes into helping the families, real estate, education, health, a sovereign wealth fund has been established. And this sovereign, Frida is telling us the time. Okay, so anyway, this sovereign wealth fund will help in the government being able to manage, one, our resources and opportunities that exist. So we are inviting in investors to come into the country. If you go into the Kenya Invest website, you'll see a lot of opportunities that exist there. That's one. Two, we are selling some of the old, inundated government institutions or companies that are just a liability in order to raise funds. And of course, three, we're looking both east, west, and within Africa as well. So with that, we're hoping that we'll be able to create. But I think one of the most important things that we all need to look at is one Africa. As somebody in the panel today said, you can't help asking where you're from. But maybe we should stop at that. But it's always curious when you're brought to meet an African. But nevertheless, two, our youth. We need to invest in our youth. Proper education, such that when you offer an education, it's not just an education. Education in STEM, entrepreneurship, so that it's geared towards. During COVID, we found Kenyan kids, youth, who were actually doing term papers for other students who live abroad. So the talent does exist. We need to invest in them. And we're inviting diaspora to come home and to work with us. And of course, we're looking for public-private partnerships, PPPs.
During the discussion, we have two of the speakers that reflected, one was in mobility, that the roads in Africa were not built are designed by us. The cities were not designed by us. And that was, I think, Celeste. And the other one, it was Christopher. It was very funny, everybody said, but he said something that is quite critical. He talked about ancestors. So, of course, when you see about ancestors, at the beginning you laugh a bit. But I will ask you something that I think maybe some of you don't know. What is the property right regime in Africa? It has changed with the colonization. And this is one of the reasons we have so many issues on the land, on mining, and on forestry today. I'm pretty sure every single of you know a person that buy a land in Africa and then realize a few months or a week later that it was already bought 10 times by someone else, and then get to go to justice and have this issue. Where is it coming from? Before colonization, the lands in Africa were sacred, communal, and they cannot be sold outside the community so that it can stay in the community. After that, we have changed the way we perceive property. This is why some people that are living from lands for decades or centuries now, the government will come and say, we need to mine there, and we'll just kick you out, sometimes without compensation. Why you can even link that to sustainability? And this is what we should look at. In customary rights for the ancestors, there will be a day, because there was mining is from centuries already. There will be a day, for example, in Ghana, where you will not mine, because it's to respect ancestors, and also it was sustainable. So today everyone is talking about COP and so on, but this was invented in Africa centuries ago. And we need to think, to realize that a lot of the things that today we bring as fresh ideas were actually enabled and designed in Africa way before. And there is a book I suggest to everyone here. It's from Howard French. I think it's called Blackness. And it gives you wonderful insight about pre-colonial Africa. Because, as he said, if we don't know where we're coming from, it's very tough to embody the future. And if we see our policies, our infrastructure, most of them, they were not designed by us. Some of them is already very good, but I think that type of adaptation, that type of unity, we need to embody it and to adapt the way we want to make business, the way we want to our policies. We need to adapt it with our history and with our identity. And I will pass the floor to Ambassador, then we can take a question if you have any.
Yeah, so I just want to say that we all have a story to tell. I don't know whether any of you know of I Show Speed.
Yeah. He was in Kenya.
He was in over 20 countries for 28 days, telling the story of Africa in very many different ways. Some places he was well received, in others he was not well received. That just tells you how we as Africans think. But if I Show could meet, in Kenya we had 360,000 subscribers in no time. In that one day he was there, he extended to 2 days. I mean, then we got him to do Magic of Kenya, tourism. You know, you take advantage of this. But if that one YouTuber could reach everybody in our villages, I think that tells us something. We need to, that's why I keep saying the youth. I have youth at home, that's why I keep thinking about them. Because they're very challenging, one, but two, they have a lot to offer. So if we use our youth and think outside the box, and use what we call AI and social media, we will be able to communicate with people across the globe, the continent, and everywhere. So I'm just going to ask, any questions? Please make it easy, not too tough. To Pascal. Any questions, please?
I will
anybody with questions? Feel free.
Don't be shy.
Thank you very much, Pascal, Your Excellency. My question comes from the diaspora. So I founded an organization called Afro Sisters, and with many of the women that are part of our community, and it's really interesting to see who is part of the community and who is not. Many of them struggle with the question of, where are you from? And many of us feel unrooted. And Mafrida, Doris, so many on this panel today, they know exactly where they come from, and they know exactly where they want to go. So my question is, for those African women, men, and I don't want to discriminate anyone else, who don't feel rooted, what does your government have in place to receive them on the continent, even though they were not born there and they don't feel they belong?
Wow. A great question, but a tough question.
I will make it. I will try to make it.
But it's a good question.
Yes, so Excellency is telling me on the fire. So I think there are a few countries, and actually, in a way, Kenya is one of them, because there is no more visa for African citizens to go there. Benin has done it as well. And there are a few countries, as Ghana, as Benin, where today, as an African, if you have any African roots, you can go and have citizenship from those countries. And which is quite interesting, because if you get a citizenship, for example, for Ghana, you have access to 10, 20, 30 countries in Africa, especially in West Africa, so it's very interesting. My advice as someone who's in the diaspora as well, even though I was raised in Togo, in West Africa, is just go out there. And it's just with the right, I think some people that come in Africa very arrogantly, like, we know best, we have education, we have money, which is true. But, and maybe that's all, maybe the most important thing is how can we team up and scale up? Because you can be the smartest person. You have done Harvard, Oxford, whatever, you have huge money. You come in Africa and you crash. And after you say, oh, Africa is starving. Yes, but you didn't adapt. You have to see, if you're in Switzerland, there are some customs. You need to have the right stakeholders, the right friends. And it's the same everywhere in the world. So when you go into an African country, what is it for tourism or especially for business, you need to have the right people that will get you into. You say, hey, you can do this, but that, please don't do that. And it's even the way you addressing to people, the way you behaving, because what you might do in Paris or Zurich or New York might not be perceived the same in Hong Kong, Mexico, or Accra. So I think people, it's not like come like a savior or whatever, but when you come with deep sense of humility, to connect with the people, they're very happy to let you in. They're very happy to share something with you. And they're also very happy to receive things from you as well. So I think when you really go to that demand to go to in African countries and to meet to the people, you will have a wonderful experience. And I suggest to everyone, just go. Find a country, make your research, go there. There are some countries, for example, Ivory Coast is very easy, Senegal, Ghana, Kenya, I mean, the list is very, very long. But just go. Just go and you will not regret it.
Okay, hold on, let me just add on to that, Excellence. I would say I'm a second generation, my parents first, second, and I have kids who were born in New York. We have kids who are born here. I think that's the challenge that you're looking at, is at our children. Our children are at home where they have their friends, where they're born, where they're raised. As a government, we make sure we issue the proper identification. When I came into Switzerland, we did not have the passports, the IDs, so the consular services is now, it was a huge struggle to get there, but eventually we did. Now we offer 100% consular services. We encourage at least one Kenyan parent who has kids here, please come in and register the kids. We'll give them passports, and passports you get them within 2 weeks, guaranteed. Printed every Wednesday, by Monday we have it in the embassies. But nevertheless, the road is ours. The road is ours. In countries like Japan, our embassy has very good Swahili speakers, and one of them is offering Swahili to the kids. Because we have to make our kids also feel that they belong somewhere besides here being home. Exactly what Celeste did. Celeste, over to you.
Yes, can I just add one thing? Sorry, because this is something that is really close to my heart. So I really believe that it is our own responsibility to belong, right? I always tell my children, when people ask you where are you from, you are Cameroonian, you are Ghanaian, you are Swiss, embrace it all. Culture is additive, not exclusive. And it's really important to reject that false choice of having to choose between your origins and your host country. For those of you who were born here, it's a privilege to have two cultures. And the other thing that I really want to encourage anyone who is an Afro descendant to do is embrace the continent. Go, travel, choose your country. When people ask me, why Kenya, why not? We are Africans. The whole continent belongs to us. So don't accept to be reduced to someone else's perception of what makes them comfortable. I tell my children, if it's confusing, you do not have to make yourself smaller to fit into someone's narrow brain.
So we'll take one more question.
Oh, sorry.
Let's go.
Thank you very much, Pascal. Thank you very much, Her Excellency. I have one question. Reflecting back on what was discussed before related to gender and other exclusion factors, can you kindly share with us how the Kenyan government is approaching access to funding, especially for those marginalized groups, the women? Collateral is usually on the table, and these people maybe do not even have collateral. How are you addressing it for the public-private partnerships? Thank you.
Any other question?
No.
Will we answer that one?
Another question?
Good afternoon again. Your Excellency, it's become quite apparent that Kenya has taken quite an active stance as a government working with the Swiss and the embassy. My question is really around, often when we speak about collaborating in Africa, the question becomes around some of the challenges from a government perspective. So we've spoken about travel, we've spoken about the issue around visas and the cost of travel. But if we were to take ownership of it, what role can entrepreneurs and investors take in accelerating cross-border collaboration where governments may have been slow to act? What is the role and responsibility of entrepreneurs themselves as well as investors?
Sorry, can I ask just one minute?
I just wanted to share a good practice from Uganda regarding diaspora. I'm from Uganda, and our government has a diaspora unit within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But basically, this unit really helps diaspora people settle down, get their passports. They have events. In December, we had a huge diaspora conference that is it's about investment, it's about health, it's about different issues that will affect the diaspora, and also when they come back, how to integrate, where to invest in terms of properties, etc. They just digest that down. I'm not sure if you have that in Kenya. If you don't, then you can learn from us. But if you do, we could compare notes. And then secondly, just looking at the diaspora, indeed, I'm also someone who, my kids are both Swiss and Ugandan, but I, like one of the previous speakers, I ensure that my children go back home every summer and are integrated, go to the village, they see the best of both worlds. So they're not just screwed that Africa is poor, which is what they tell them here, but they are also able to see a better side than professionals and businesses and things running properly. So I think we should get into that culture of invest in sending your kids every year, like somebody travel the world, but just let them go home and speak the language. My son said, I speak French, mommy. Can you teach me Luganda? You know, he asked me because when he went home, he was playing with the kids, but he didn't know how to speak Luganda. So I'm now investing in language, even though my Luganda is poor. But I'm trying to, as a result of colonialism, you know what happened.
Thank you very much. With regards to procurement access, I believe that's what it was. For public-private partnerships, that's quite huge amounts of money. But in the government of Kenya, what we have is every government entity, whether it's the ministry or the parastatal or the county governments, and the national government in itself. A third is reserved for what we call women, people with disabilities, and youth. A third, and every government entity at the end of the financial year in June has to indicate where they have been able to give. And they can go as low as 100,000, which approximately is less than $1,000. So there's no collateral required for that. For other big investments, then they can participate. It's very difficult for government to give you collateral. I think we all agree with that. I hope I've answered your question. So it does exist. With regards to cross-border, I think cross-border collaboration between, let's say for ourselves, between Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, we have the East African community. And therefore movement within the borders is not difficult at all. Unless, of course, there's a tiff which happens here and there, and then the things stopped at the border, but it is allowed. We have EAC, we have COMESA, the same way West Africa has SADC. So if I want to buy, let's say, things from across the border in Egypt, I'll do it through COMESA. But of course, if I bring it from India, then I'm going to pay some kind of a tax. But again, we have incentives in terms of the special economic zones and export processing zones as well in Kenya. So that we can have a discussion at a later stage. To answer to just respond to what you had to say, we have the Diaspora State Department within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It was started in 2022, and therefore there's opportunities for the diaspora, and as well as we have vetted, and when you're looking for a job, you go there if you want to go abroad. If you're going to do it at your own risk, that is something else. So it does exist. We also help diaspora to integrate within the community. There's a whole strategy that has been established that is within the network. So I think so far our diaspora is being taken off, and we also have a conference, we have events, they're given prizes. So we as ambassadors are told, ask the diaspora to nominate, and then actually they're recognized by the government and they get all these huge titles that they're given.
Thank you very much, Madam Ambassador. So we are about to wrap up the event. Thank you so much, Bafria. Thank you for your time. And I will say as the last word, have trust in yourself and in Africa. And if you cannot come back to your country, there are 54 countries in Africa. 54 countries. So just go somewhere. Sometimes for political just go somewhere and invest, and don't be afraid of investing and supporting your friends. That I would feel that's the most thing. We need to scale up, to be together and to put money. Not just coming, just say, oh, what you're doing is great. Yes, the person knows what he's doing is great. But the person needs support. So whenever if you have a friend that have a very good project that is already promising, don't hesitate to put money. Don't hesitate to put money together. There is no small amount. Even if it's 100 per month, you can imagine what it does if we have a few hundred or a few thousand. If we put everyone put 100 Swiss francs per month, and if you 1,000, you put 1 million. So you see, it goes very, very, very fast. And you have it every time. So thank you everyone. Thank you so much again. And let's catch up very soon.